So I've got an article by CBR. Now, for the record, I hate CBR. I think they are hecklers and people who just try to make a bad situation out of nothing, especially when it comes to anime. Like, they have slandered some good animes that I like. Shield Hero, I believe, or if I remember, what Shield Hero was one, and another might have been Goblin Slayer. At least I think they did. That aside, they do occasionally put something out there that I think is good, even though I think they're just doing it for brownie points. But here it is, Gotham Knights. Why Jason Todd needs a standalone game. Jason Todd is one of the more interesting character arcs and personalities in DC Comics, and he is a perfect fit for his own standalone game by Josh Render. And I kind of agree with this to an extent because I love Red Hood. I've said this before. He is one of my favorite characters in comics. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. He's just a badass gunslinger. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, even more so than Batman. And he's probably my favorite guy in the Bat family. Although, I would argue, why should Red Hood exclusively be the one to get his own game? Because there are other characters that have been around longer than him who are as popular, or if not more popular than him. I would also want them to have their own games, but if I had my way, I would just do a game that involves Nightwing and Red Hood. Like, have it switch between them. And also for the option of co-op, if it's an open world game, kind of like what Gotham Knights is. And just because I want to see some written banter between these two, because I don't see a lot of interactions with them. Up until Rebirth, it was always like daddy issues and older brother issues. Then by Rebirth, it's stated, oh no, Jason never hated Dick Grayson. He kind of admired him to a certain extent, but because of the circumstance, it always came out that way. And that from the beginning, he always respected Nightwing. Like, I would like to see a game that kind of delves into that relationship a little, or a movie. Like, people have been saying they want a movie of these two characters. I would say do one of Nightwing and Red Hood. Kill two birds with one stone. Just have it later on in their careers as vigilantes, like have a... I don't know who you'd get to play Nightwing, but if I had it my way, I would probably get Jensen Ackles for like if it's an older Red Hood, then I would go with Jensen Ackles. I mean, say what you will about Supernatural, I liked his character in the beginning of it, and I think he can play a good vigilante who's not afraid to get his hands dirty. If it was a younger Red Hood like The Lost Days, I would get Dylan O'Brien. But that's kind of getting off track. Batman's many sidekicks have always had to play second fiddle to the Dark Knight, but Gotham Knights will allow Batgirl and some of the former Robins to lead their own adventure. However, one of those Robins may have more to bring in a solo adventure than the others. Which I hope so. Like, I'm hoping to play that game at some point if it's not social justice-y. But apparently they've got an activist being involved with the creative process, so I'm holding my breath. Also known as Red Hood, Jason Todd has certainly had one of the most varied character arcs in comics. This was a Robin who had taken Batman's views and twisted them and wasn't afraid to kill anyone in his way. However, Red Hood has progressed from villain to the anti-hero of the Bat family. His complicated life and relationships would be perfect for a standalone game. Yeah, like, if they made a game, I would want it, and it was centered around Red Hood, I would like to see it involve, like, him and the Outlaws, like the second incarnation of them. Not Starfire and Arsenal, but Red Hood, Artemis, and Bizarro. Like, that was a weird marriage of characters. You got two former sidekicks and a reject clone of Superman. It's like an odd family satire in a way. Anyway, Jason Todd arguably has one of the most complex character journeys of Robins, at least in terms of morality. He has been both murderous and controlled, having killed before, but is actively trying to reign in his more murderous intentions. This would allow a game based on him to focus on something that is rare in a Batman game, the option to take a life. Batman as a character does not kill. Jason Todd, however, can walk both sides of the moral coin. This could let players take a choice when dealing with foes. For instance, Would players choose to use rubber bullets, and what effects would that have later in the game? In terms of combat ability, Jason is no slouch. Red Hood has been trained by Batman, the League of Shadows, the Outcast, and a host of other trainers that all work to make him the best fighter he could be. And yeah, he's one of the deadliest fighters in the DC universe from what I hear. He would actually probably be good as a skilled assassin. His combat is often more violent than Batman's and somewhat less refined. Red Hood doesn't just use his fists, though. While he doesn't have the full list of gadgets Batman has, he usually has several more down-to-earth pieces of kit. A game based on him could let players work with what they can find or purchase anything from guns and knives to some of the more alien weaponry Red Hood has used as part of the Outlaws. Jason has had a somewhat difficult relationship with the other members of the Bat family. Sometimes he works with them, but often he is in direct conflict with them, from trying to kill Tim Drake to an almost romance with Barbara Gordon. A game could find a lot to work off of. Does the player try to work with the other members, or do they ignore them for the most part, but try to stay on their good side, or do they directly antagonize them? There could be benefits and drawbacks to both options and directly affect the game. Red Hood's actions in Gotham also allow for a variety of originally Red Hood planned to control the crime in Gotham by becoming a #1 crime lord in the city, a video game based around trying to rise in Gotham's criminal underbelly and control the worst of the excesses by force and intimidation would be interesting, but it is by no means all the options. Jason has also been a hero for hire, and the concept would fit in very well with a mission-based game structure. The variety would give players a chance to try different things, maybe even maybe a mix and match, at least compared to formulas of other fighting supervillains that often appear in the most superhero games. Batman has arguably had one of the most successful conversions to the video game format, and the franchise has so much more to give. Red Hood could be a part of a fantastic game due to his combat skills, questionable morality, and general relationship with the DC universe. Hopefully developers look to the excitement about Gotham Knights and use it to start to explore the other characters. And that's all the article. I'll be linking that in the description. But, yeah, these all could work. I mean, Red Hood's been an anti-hero, a hero, a mercenary, and he's generally, like, I think he's a good person underneath. But yeah, morally wise, it's questionable. It is very questionable, and I love it. I love everything about morally questionable characters. But sometimes I like it when my protagonist transitions between hero and villain. And it's kind of like with Deathstroke. That was something I liked about the Arrow version of him. You didn't know what would happen with him. He could swing either way on the moral spectrum. And yeah, you could do that with Red Hood. That could be like, do it Red Dead Redemption style. Have him have the ability to do villainous things or do heroic things. Have him be... Or you could, or have it optional to work with the Bat family. Like, again, I would love to see a game centered around him and Nightwing working together. Or him and Tim Drake, they also get along very well. Him and Batwoman, that's not much as far as I know. Like, they're aware of each other. One time she handed him over to Amanda Waller, which made me hate her for life. And that was before their shitty show came on. And then Barbara Gordon, as far as I know, they get along. Although the three Jokers kind of muddied the waters between them a bit. And the other members, I have no idea. Alfred seems to get along with them. Batman, their relationship is so contentious and sometimes think you could cut the air with a knife. With the tension that goes on between them. It's almost as... Well, it's not as bad as like the tension between like Constantine and Zatanna. That you could cut with a knife, basically. But yeah, you could also tackle subjects like morality, Like you could always go have a game that actually calls out the BS of Batman's moral code. They've done that a couple times in the comics. And that's all I can say as a game. Story-wise, yeah, I would just like to see him work with a team. Like, I would say have him work with Artemis and Bizarro, because that was lightning in a bottle that they caught, and I thought it worked well. And it's a shame they split those three up, because I thought they worked well together. I liked the dynamic between them. I liked the relationship with Red Hood and Artemis. I liked the relationship between Red Hood and Bizarro. I liked the relationship between the three as a whole. I'd like to see that made into a game and just have side missions involving those two. Have a main storyline which involves Red Hood dealing with his own crap. Like, there's many different things you could do with him. Like, that's kind of why I was hoping when Arkham Knight was over with, they would do a Red Hood game in the Arkhamverse. Because we know he's become a vigilante again. He's no longer Arkham Knight. Spoiler alert for the game. And he's gone back to being a vigilante who's more in line with Batman, but he's not afraid to use violence, like lethal violence. That's what I was hoping they would do. They didn't. So, yeah, those are my overall thoughts. I mean, a good idea by CBR, but the gaming industry doesn't always listen to good ideas. Sometimes they listen to very bad ideas. And it kind of makes you want to pull the hair out of your head. But, yeah, that's my thoughts. That's the article. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and have a nice day. Remember, the game was rigged from the start.